Si, senor, welcome to the space weather. We are looking at 304 angstroms. Even though it is not Cinco de Mayo, we're looking at 8.5 hours of solar activity. We see serious filamentary stuff going on there on the eastern limb there, just above the equator, as well as over there on the eastern limb. Let's look at some more views. All right, enough of that accent stuff. And there you see that filament there in the east. It looks like it did erupt there. I couldn't find any good coronagraph images, so it's not Earth-facing. If it did leave the corona, it's not an Earth-facing coronal mass ejection or anything like that, folks, so no worries there. I looked at it from stereo A. There's nothing going on. No sunspots, 10.7 centimeter radial flux holding steady at 68. Little bit of activity messing around here. Let's look at colored magnetogram. Here's the above the equator extreme zoom. Not a lot of organized fields going on there, even where sunspot 2748 was. Here's the below the equator zoom. And I would put these on a square frame so I can see these bigger myself, but you know, we make these videos for the resolution assuming that most people are going to be watching this on a widescreen, something around the ratio of 1280 to 720. Take a moment to thank our patrons. If you're not a patron yet, please become one. You'll see the updates first. You can also donate to us on PayPal. We do have a .org actually nowadays, and we are going to get our 503c status pretty soon. Also check out the Hemp Lucid campaign for our spaced out viewers. You could, if you're buying CBDs, you could buy them through our link below the video. Save 30% on 1,000 milligram whole plant CBD hemp seed oil suspension, as well as some Kalki products. Again, our spaced out campaign linked beneath the video. If you're going to buy CBDs, buy them through our link. Check out the real-time solar wind. We see some phi angle shifts going on right now. Solar wind density 1.78 protons per cubic centimeter. So a very diffuse solar wind there, very low density. And some recent upsets in the wind speed there. Currently showing as 473 kilometers per second. And there's the ACE data looking pretty similarly. Again, 10.7 centimeter radial flux, back up to 68. And just as a visual reference, I drew this orange line in here on this graph so you can see where the 70 mark is. And as you can see, below at solar minimum time, you're going to get, you know, a period of time where you're below 70, just to give you a better visual reference of what the ramp up prior to last solar maximum looked like. We're only looking at cycle 24 here. Let's move on. September's National Disaster Preparedness Month, and on this channel we're looking at the biggest disaster, the sun itself, the one that causes, or is at least the final step before reaching Earth in terms of the 12,000-year catastrophe cycle. We're interested in figuring out why it happens, as I've been studying this since the 1980s. I don't know about you, as well as climate, of course, because these things are interrelated. Let's talk about David Dubine's book, Climate Revolution. Now, he says some controversial things, which we appreciate. The last time we spoke with him, in our long-form conversation, which is posted on the YouTube channel, by the way, we talked about the way I would prefer, personally, to have CO2 levels at about 1,000, as the plants I'm trying to grow would grow much better. Things such as sunchokes, aka Jerusalem artichokes, would prefer more CO2, but everything, tomatoes, I mean, there's a reason why greenhouses and the average CO2 content of this planet, known as Earth, is actually much higher than where it currently is, at only about less than 440 parts per million, folks. I mean, plants stop growing around 300 parts per million. So all these ideas about carbon sequestration are beyond idiotic. The planet is greening because of the increased CO2, and the climate is doing everything it can to freeze out those plants and kill them with hailstorms, as well as floods. So early spring, early falls, early winters, late springs, shortened growing seasons across the whole planet have created a scenario where Australia is a net importer of grains, which is the primary grain production region of China. You know, the Chinese have completely boycotted all U.S. ag products, which is the only thing keeping prices down right now. But those low prices are actually hurting farmers who have very low yields in a lot of different crops. Meanwhile, we're shipping soybeans to Brazil, which are getting reflagged and sent straight to China. China also has a pork shortage, and on it goes. These are reasons why I have to be completely anti-tariff. If we were at a time of solar maximum, I wouldn't care about the tariffs, and I would say let the taxes flow. But anyway, check out the book Climate Revolution. It's linked below the video here. Here at Oilseed Crops. So oilseedcrops.org. There's a URL for that displayed for you, oilseedcrops.org. Got links to the Climate Revolution book there. Shout out to David Dubine. Let's Skype soon. And here's the magnetosphere movies. First look at the density, 4 hours of data here. And I'm going to let that play, and I'll be right back. Anyway, there's the pressure. And we'll also look, there's the density, rather. And if I can get it to page down, there we go. And there's the pressure. And once again, I'll be right back. And believe me, folks, I wish I could do this live stream because it would be much more concise, it would update much faster, and it would be easier for all involved. Here's your daily 4 hours of geospace ground magnetic perturbations. I swear that thing reset by itself. It's crazy. And this is all based on University of Michigan geospace model. Thanks to our new subscribers, and again, especially to our donors, as we need funding, lots of it, for this channel to grow. Speaking of growing, we've got good news. Here's a KP index. It's been pegged at 1 for the better part of the last day. KP index at 1. Some good news about smAsho staff. smAsho staff is now on the payroll. That's right, we have a paid staff now, thanks to our patrons. So shout out smAsho staff. Nice job, smAsho staff. And look for changes to all of our websites coming soon. Here's the last 6 hours of the ionosphere, and it's looking pretty discharged on the nighttime side there, as you'd expect from what you saw in the magnetosphere movie. Daytime side is looking pretty normal. Nighttime side looking super discharged. There's your X-ray flux. We do see some perturbations. We still haven't seen that B-class flare. And being the first guy to admit when I'm wrong, I was wrong. I thought there'd be a B-class flare coming out of that sunspot. But that was a pretty much of a dud sunspot. And what do you think about alarmism, folks? Please leave a comment over here if you think there's a lot of alarmists on YouTube. Just let us know. Let us know somewhere here around these areas if you think there are a lot of alarmist YouTube channels who don't know anything about what they're talking about. Here's the GOES electron flux. And we're at pretty high levels here. Although we're not expecting this to get super strong, but that's something to keep an eye on. And when I say eye on, The pun is intentional. We do have some charging hazards here. Let's make sure that's refreshed. Charging hazards down by Oceania. Not usual for this time of day. So again, we have some midnight side of the planet discharging areas that are ultra discharge. Here's where stuff is in the solar system. And can I take this opportunity to say, Milky Way galaxy team for the win? There's where stuff will be on the first day of the second week of September. Looks like a full moon. Here's the relativistic electron flux. So still at quite high levels, but not at the highest levels we've seen in about a year. Yeah, the highest levels in a year just occurred. So we've been watching that, and it's been producing some interesting things. We'll get into that in a moment. Were you aware of the bike ride that I did? Check out this bike ride. Now, I rode my TT bike, and I didn't realize that I was going to go this far or this fast, but check it out. 934.9 miles in 55.06 minutes. So there was some time that I was stopped later in the ride, but the total ride there came out to 934.9 miles. And if you're wondering what that comes out to in average speed, well, I've got the data. The average speed was 1,018.0 miles per hour, that is. 1,018 miles per hour. And my max speed just happened to be 50,477.4. I'm not sure if that was at the beginning or in the middle, if I accelerated. I really can't remember. I may have been riding myself into a white tunnel when that happened. But yeah, check it out. Max speed. I think this is this is a little faster than the SR-71 Blackbird, if you were wondering. And yes, I was on the time trial bike and I stepped on it. Apparently to 50,477.4 miles per hour, giving me an average speed from northeastern Arkansas to Pennsylvania of over 1,000 miles per hour. 1,018 miles per hour. So that was helmet with a heat shield type moment. Looking at the GOES magnetometer, we see continued spiky behavior in it as we can't decide which side of the current sheet that we're on. Here's the newest data from the Gong 2. And you can see there's a bit of a battle for the magnetism going on there, really in the Earth-facing region. And that's going to be smoothing out because although we see some filaments rising, those are not particularly strong scenarios coming up there. So those filaments they're pretty much all bark, no bite. And here's a stereo A coronagraph just to show you that there's no Earth-facing ejecta right now, complete with date stamps. There is some opposite the Earth-facing ejecta, heading out toward Venus and Mars and Mercury. Here's approximately where stuff is above my head. Where were you yesterday when Deneb set? Did you find more or less cosmic rays going through your brain at that moment? Alright, don't get too scared of Deneb, folks. Although it is the celestial North Pole at the other end of the celestial precessional cycle. Just saying. Let's go back 24 hours. Just about 23 hours ago, we see a 4.2 at Turkey. That one at about 100 kilometers depth. It could be a precursor to a larger quake at the surface. We got quakes coming in. Here's one at Burma, 4.8. That one taking place a little more recently, about 20 hours ago. And going down the list, we see a 4.9 in the Philippines. That one's at 140 kilometers depth, heads up Philippines. 4.9 at Vanuatu, 4.8 at the Philippines. That one a little shallower, 73.6 kilometers depth. Here's a 5.9 at Vanuatu. I think that might be the largest one we've had in a while there. And please take the opportunity to say the word Vanuatu aloud. You know you'll want to. And we see a 5.0. That one's out in that rift zone there, northeast of New Zealand. Here's a deep quake at the Mariana Islands. That's the kind of thing that could set off a big tsunami if it happens at the surface, but it's only a 4.5. Here's a 5.1 at Indonesia and a 4.6 at Alaska. That one right in the middle of the mainland. Please leave a comment, Alaskan viewers, as I know there are some. Holla if you felt that. There's a location of that right in the center of the state. Near the Nowitna National Wildlife Refuge. And there's more. 4.4 at Japan. 4.2 at Chile. That one is at almost exactly 100 kilometers also. 4.2 magnitude. At least we don't see coronal holes, folks. Earthquake risk is relaxed a little bit right now. Kuril Islands, 4.7. A 5.3 at the Mid-Atlantic Ridge. Please leave a comment if you understand the coronal hole associated earthquake prediction techniques. What's going on with volcanoes? Well, Shivaluch is exploding, producing a 13,000-foot ash plume, allegedly. And we're doing this seat of the pants, folks. No show prep and no extra articles. Just raw data over there in that region. Mount Aso, possible activity continues. Karangatang. No, not an orangutan. Karangatang. With a volcanic ash advisory. Sanjiang Api. Discrete eruption. Yeah, that's real discrete. Producing a 10,000-foot ash plume. Please don't pole vault it. It could be hazardous to your health. Tukono. Continuous eruption with a 6,000-foot ash plume there. Popocatépetl. Say that aloud. You know you want to say Popocatépetl aloud. And Sabancaya, both exploding, producing a 21 and 24,000-foot ash plume, respectively. Karangatang. We still got tropical storm and hurricane advisories off of Cape Cod, but man, that thing moved quick, didn't it? Here's lightningmaps.org, and the lightning has relaxed. And here we are at windy.com. We still have very close to hurricane force speeds here coming out of this system. In fact, they've actually relaxed since I looked at this last, about a half an hour ago. You still see winds in the 60s there. Those, I believe, are the strongest winds that we're seeing. So Cape Cod getting a little bit pummeled there. Perhaps a great day for surfing in some of these locations. Please leave a comment if you own a surfboard and a wetsuit, as that's going to be an investment coming soon for this channel. And I've migrated, but not for the purpose of farming, to show you the jet stream input, which is still there. And we're going to play this through. There's flight level 24,000 feet altitude there. And we see that, get rid of this wind. There's essentially the jet stream input to that hurricane, which means it's going to continue. So as this plays through, it's going to, well, let's see what it's going to do according to the GFS model. Again, this is the GFS model we have loaded on here, folks. And it looks like it's finally breaking up as far as the main organization of this. Well, there still is going to be a persistent low there. Let's go back to the pressure and see how the pressure resolves by that point. And it's still a significant low there. So that's going to just continue on, folks. Let's let that play a little longer. You can watch where that low is going. That is a serious low pressure. That's going to keep pulling moisture toward it until that finally gets dissipated. It looks like it's headed straight to Iceland, folks. Have you heard about sudden stratospheric warming and other alarmist nonsense on YouTube channels? I liked what Ben Davidson said. He said, yeah, this happens every year. It's called spring. People are going to tell you Antarctica's melting or something like that because it got warm for one day or some other nonsense. Let's look at the total jet streams. Eastern world. Western world. Well, I'm over it. It's meridional. It's flowing the wrong direction all over the place. Enough said. How about a form resubmission? Boom! Form resubmitted. And I gotta migrate again. Oh my gosh, it's a mass migration. I'm invading the lower right corner of the screen. There are a few choices in this, folks. Few choices. I'm stuck in this barrier. I can't get out of this gray wall. I'm stuck in here. What am I gonna do? I guess I should Google how to get out of a gray wall. That'll be a great verb. Don't worry, just Google it. You'll get biased search results. Anyway, here's the long wave radiation, and we don't look at the clean, we look at the dirty. Shout out to the Wu-Tang Clan. It's the NASA GOES interactive weather satellite, and there's Hurricane Dorian, almost due east of Cape Cod. Here's another form resubmission. So there is the form resubmitted. We see no eye wall. There is some, wow, there's some serious moisture cannibalism going on there. There are some convergence lines happening because of cold air flowing in, and got to look at it from the water vapor. And there you have the most detailed view, and this is a good thing because there's not nearly as much water vapor. This thing has dumped most of the water out of the sky, but a low pressure will attract more. So this is going to be a persistent thing, and every time this encounters more atmospheric moisture, it will try to grab it for several days until it gets all the way to Iceland at least, and it's still a little diffuse once it gets up there, but I agree with that GFS model still. And it looks like we see some dry air here. It's going to push most of this moisture out, and there will be cleanup efforts out there on Cape Cod, we're sure. And here's a zoomed out view, and you can see once again that jet stream as well as dry, massive, cooler air is in charge of this scenario. So it's been in charge the whole time, as we've cited for a solid week on this channel. If you weren't watching, perhaps start. And we're skipping this, and we're skipping this. We're taking all kinds of proactive steps to fix the internet, like some other companies that we enjoy greatly, such as DuckDuckGo, an objective search result provider. So follow us on social media if you like. I don't know, Facebook. We're there, facebook.com/smAsho. Twitter, Gab, as well as on Minds, minds.com/smAsho. Almost at 500,000 views here just for the profile. And yeah, 493,000 views now. And we've only got 706 subscribers. Come over to Minds. Check out yesterday's awesome thumbnail featuring the carbonyl sulfide molecule. minds.com/smashomash. And if you enjoy the content on YouTube, please like and subscribe here also, as it's the current main content provider. However, not a provider of a single cent of revenue, because of all kinds of things that Google does to throttle and shadow ban and pretend like there are tax problems and do all kinds of other nonsense with your channel, to do a hula dance around every possible law and algorithm in the universe to screw you over and make sure you make $0, which is why we're on Patreon, and that is the source of the revenue. And so thanks, donors, and thanks, Smash team. We are seriously on this credits crawl thing. Trust us. The thing about the credits crawl, folks, is that we need to know exactly what the syntax you want. Do you want a screen name? Do you want your full name? You know, do you want a nickname? So that's the deal. Leave a comment if you want to be on the credits crawl. We're going to try to get it all together. I would put it in a form, but people respond in different places. There's no control over it. It's total chaos, folks. It's the internet. It's total chaos. So here's the sun at 193 angstroms. There you go. Cheers. Thanks for tuning in. And remember, when you're about to head down the hatch, don't drink. And if you drink, head down the hatch anyway. Just don't drive. And since it'll never be now again, may the solar wind be at your back and the atherosclerosis absent from your veins.